So I'm about to do my workout with my trainer, and it's really fun. Now that I live here, there's like the front porch, there's like the backyard, there's like the studio in the back. There's all these fun areas that I can go work out with my trainer. I haven't been on a place where I could go for walks in a long time. There's like no sidewalk where I've been living, and it's been kind of dangerous. So now I'm out walking, and it's funny to me. I post on Instagram all the time these little tips and things. And one of the tips for older men, dating tips for older men, was like get in shape and love your body and feel strong and good blood flow for erections and just, posture and feeling like the king that you are. And the comments are like, well, you should work out too. And I'm just like, why would I ever give advice that I don't live myself? I don't get that. Maybe some people, do, but I don't. I will never ask anyone to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself 10 times over. So anyways, looking forward to my workout. My beautiful man has already been for his run and walk. And God, I feel great at 53. Yeah, there's hair growing out of strange places and menopausal hot flashes and there's these things. And yeah, maybe I don't look like I look like when I was 20, but I love my body so much more than I did in my 20s. God, I was so judgmental. And as you listen to this podcast coming up with Nicole, Frolick, we talk about our evolution with our feminine energy, with our bodies, with our womb space, with really dropping into true sacred sexuality and embodiment and coming to peace with everything that's happened. And how was it a gift to make us stronger? How did we evolve and allow everything that's happened to us as a woman to make us our best self? So you're really going to enjoy this. See you soon. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people, and welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. Here we are, Season 11, Soul Medicine, with a new soul sister, the wonderful Nicole Frolick. And here we are in November talking about intimacy, sacred sex, and erotic embodiment. Let me tell you more about this wonderful lady. She is a practical mystic, experienced in intuitive life coaching, inner child healing, and the reclamations of one's secret self, a process that uncovers the hidden and yet most valuable strengths, talents, and untapped purpose of the soul. With over 25 years of experience, although she does not look anywhere near that amount of age, in the realm of healing the mind and body and soul connections, Nicole acts as a surrogate siren. Have you ever heard that before? That is so cool. Surrogate siren that co-captains your soul through a deep psychic descent into the uncharted waters of the unconscious mind. And using ceremonial and intuitive methods through unique meditative experiences, she guides her clients through the shadows of their pain so they may rebirth themselves and emerge as their most authentic self on the greatest path to their destiny. And she is the host of Enlighten Up, a weekly podcast, which I have the blessing of being on. And she is the founder of The Forbidden Journey, a premium coaching program, and has produced over 40 guided meditations and offers a variety of online courses, which we will share with you. One about womb activation. We'll hear more about that in this interview. And she also offers a variety of online courses through her Alchemy Academy, designed to help you deepen your intuitive abilities, heal your inner child, harmonize your masculine and feminine energies, and advance your growth from linear development into quantum leaps that are logarithmic. How do I say that? Logarithmic in nature. So wonderful. So my love, you're like badass. I need the whole, how the hell did you get here? I need the backstory. I need where you were born. You must have dealt with this inner child work yourself in order to teach it. So tell us your story.
Oh gosh. So I grew up in Toronto, just outside
No,
Toronto,
stop.
Canada.
So you're Canadian? I'm Canadian too.
Oh
my
really?
God. Yeah. British Columbia.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Haven't been able to make it out west yet. And BC, Alberta, I'd love to go because I want to see the Rockies there.
Yeah.
But I'm currently in the Rockies in Colorado.
Okay. Good.
but yeah, I started off in just outside Toronto, Canada. And I've done quite a bit of traveling and lived in a few different places,
Such
which
as
well, when I was 16, I did an exchange student program in Switzerland. So I was in
nice.
Lausanne, Switzerland for a few months. And that
Wow.
really was the catalyst for, I want to say, my entire journey.
How so? How
Only
so?
because it opened me up to the world traveling.
Yeah.
And um, I don't know if you're into any astrology or anything like that, but Jupiter is in my 12th house, which is the house of all your hidden secrets, and also it's the house of your hidden talents and purpose and all of that.
Mm,
And for me, travel has awakened so much in me. I have spent a year and a half just backpacking by myself, traveling the world.
yeah.
I lived in the Cayman Islands for almost 10 years.
Nice.
And so exploring other cultures, exploring the lands, just putting myself in situations where I'm forced to grow and
Yeah.
see what I'm made of has all been part of the journey. And my journey has taken so many different twists and turns. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not linear in any way or any shape. So it's all over the place. But that's kind of how the healing process works, doesn't it?
Right? Like, what do they say? Make a plan and then God laughs or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I would say my healing journey started when I was 20.
Okay.
And so I'm now 46. And
Okay.
that started off with um, a sexually transmitted disease, HPV, which now I think they say 75% of us have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was before there was even a vaccine for it. And so it really rocked my world, because the way the woman called me to tell me I had this, which was after me having one partner and
Mm.
and all that. So she told me, she basically like threw in cervical cancer, and just
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember like my whole life just stopping, pause, like I
Mm.
just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And so I was always attracted to alternative health medicine, and I found a naturopath who helped me go into the deeper layers, the emotional layers. We looked at my relationship with my father, my
Mm.
relationship with myself. Did I even like myself? Which I
Mm.
didn't
Mm.
at all.
Mm.
I didn't like my own relationship with my feminine self. Like, so my
Yeah.
relationship with my feminine energy was really distorted,
Yeah.
which is why I was so heavily into my masculine energy. And
Mm.
so this really was, and the reason why I say this is because a lot of my healing has been driven by issues happening in the reproductive area for me.
Mm. Mm.
And because of that, I've learned the importance of embracing and embodying your feminine energy to
Mm.
heal that area.
Wow.
And so, inner child healing came in much further down the road, probably in my late 30s, around 40 or so.
Yeah.
And it was actually my own inner child who taught me how to do inner child healing, because
Mm.
I had a friend who was a Reiki healer, and she was also a psychic, and she was doing a Reiki healing on me. And she said, "Do you work with your inner child?" And I said, "No, I've never done it before." And she's like, I think you need to go sit in
Yeah.
meditation and start working. So
Yeah.
that was about the extent of my instruction. Luckily,
Just go sit down.
yeah, luckily though, I'm really good at meditation. I started meditating when I was 17. And so visually, I get a lot of visions. And so I tuned into her immediately, and I saw how to meet up with her, and it was always in the same place. And I started to understand why it was this place. And then she just started talking to me, showing me things. She opened up the Akashic records for me. She brought me into my Akashic records. I started tapping into other things. When it came to actually exploring a couple years later, sexual abuse when I was a child, she gave me the name of my abuser because I couldn't see him. I didn't know who it was.
Mm.
And so the name came through me going into my Akashic records. It was just, it's wild. So there's
Mm.
just so much to uncover here. And then
Oh,
in the last year and a half, I've started working with psychedelics, so ayahuasca and mushrooms.
yeah.
And that has opened me up even further and beyond. And so the everything is just kind of like, I don't know if you've experienced this in your journey, but it's like the deeper you go, the faster everything opens up, and it just starts like compounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just a little bit stunned right now. Like, I know you are a different person than I am, but I'm like, you have my past. Like we have such a similar past. It's not even funny. I'm just a decade older than you. So I see why the universe has brought us together to be on each other's shows to give two different ways of explaining, two different perspectives of a very, very similar journey.
Mm-hmm.
The backpacking, I lived in Tokyo for 4 years, traveled all over Southeast Asia,
Oh,
backpacking all these places, Africa, etc. Did not do the 16-year-old living in Sweden, but that was like that was your first awakening with travel. My first awakening was with death, when my best friend died suddenly at 16. So this seems like a similar age where we got that first. There's got to be more. There's
mm-hmm.
got to be more. And I remember my dad, I was running down the yellow line of the highway. It was out at Shuswap Lake outside of Kamloops, British Columbia, where I found out the news. And my dad just took my shoulders and he shook me. And this is my dad, the drunk, the stoned, addict growing up. Not the one I wanted to have anywhere near me when I was so disassociated and upset. But a lot of people with addictions are very connected to the other realms and they don't know how to deal with the pain. And I think that's probably why my dad drank so much. But he said, he took my shoulders, Nicole, and he said, if this is it, let's get off. Your friend, you will see your friend again. We live forever. And I was like, whoa. And that kind of opened up my journey of my spirituality as well. Curious also that you mentioned the sexual abuse and so much of your feminine energy. I love this because in the last year and a half, also with psychedelics, I did ayahuasca about 25 years ago, but I just left. I left to tier 3. I was gone. I was in my happy place with spirit. I wasn't able or ready yet to use the medicine to stay in my body and to heal the trauma in there, the sexual abuse, until the last year and a half, 2 years, a different use of psychedelics to stay in tier 1, psychedelic somatic integration with MDMA and cannabis rather than psilocybin or ayahuasca that generally takes me far away. And like your little girl shared the name, these journeys finally showed me what happened, the memories, the smells, the sensations, all the things came back. So I love that we have this in alignment and we can share with people, especially with this podcast, Sacred Sex, Erotic Embodiment. Tell us, if you were from this journey that you just shared thus far, how do you define sexuality in the sacred, divine sense, or your body like a divine temple? And I know we're going to talk later about your womb activation. How can you give the viewers and the listeners a new point of view, even if you've been abused, that we cannot be tarnished, right? We are divinity itself.
Mm-hmm. The area of the womb space for us females, and even men, because they do have an energetic womb, it's our creation center. That area is the most powerful portal on the planet, to be quite honest. Us as humans, I believe that we have our human technology, this skin suit, is an incredible piece of technology that is so underused and misunderstood on what it's capable of doing. And so what happens is a lot of us will go through different traumas throughout our childhood, our teenage years, even our adult life, that somehow target this area. Your abundance codes are held within the sacral chakra, the womb space. And I was just I literally did a solo episode on my podcast last night talking about the Philosopher's Stone, which when we talk about alchemy and how to actually manifest in the physical, the Philosopher's Stone is actually located in our body between the root and sacral chakra, just above the pubic bone in the center. And when we can funnel in our mental and heart coherence, so mind-heart coherence through action, and we can align all of that, we are pulling everything through that Philosopher's Stone, which then allows everything to manifest into the physical reality, which ultimately is our womb space. And so when we are healing trauma from that area, it's to reconnect us to take the journey of rediscovering and remembering our power, which
Yeah.
is held within the sacred sexual energies, which is why there's so much shame
Right.
projected upon us in this world in differing manners, whether it's through your own family, whether it's through religion, whether it's through society, whatever way it comes through.
Yeah.
There's so much shame that we have to work through. And that's part of the setup of this matrix. It's done that way so that we can learn, so that we move through it and understand. So because our power, our greatest power sits in that area, this is where we tend to experience most of our trauma,
Yeah.
is at least related in some way or connected somehow through that.
Beautiful. And so transmuting this shame into our power center for as you're sharing with manifestation, what are some of the ways that you found for yourself most supportive? And then how do you teach others around shame, healing our shame?
The first thing you have to do is you have to be in touch with your feminine energy. If you have any sort of distortion in your relationship with your own feminine energy, with being a woman, that has to be healed first and foremost. That is the absolute most important thing. And so for me, I had to look at my relationship with my mother, and and also my dad, because it was the way my father treated my mother that made me disrespect her. And how she responded was because in our household, very traditional, my father was the breadwinner, my mother was the stay-at-home mom, and so he controlled the purse strings, which means he had final say over everything. And I would see, at the time, because there was such a, although I know my father never intended this, I know he loves my mother so much and my mother loves him, but they also have a lot of healing they need to do in their relationship. But he, the way his upbringing was and hers was very conducive to highlighting this dynamic where he who makes the money holds the power. And
Right.
so I quickly learned that if I want to have control in my life and I don't want to be disrespected and I want to have a say, which is
Yeah.
extremely important to me,
Yeah.
I have to become a man in this world, like literally become like a man. And so
Wow.
I looked at my mother and I just looked at her and she goes, she's weak. Look at her. She's like, she has no say in this household, and she's stuck at home taking care of the kids. And so I grew up thinking, I don't want to be a mother. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to, like, and I was like, you know what? I'm too selfish to have kids. And this was my narrative that I told myself through my 20s and all of that. But then, when I was 25, I got pregnant and I had to have an abortion. And that really rocked my world.
Yeah.
Because one, I started to realize, oh, what if I can't have children now because of this?
Oh.
I started to realize, do I actually want children? And I realized, oh, I don't want that option taken away from me. It needs to be my choice. But then there was a lot of, which I find, there's not a lot of discussion around the trauma that a woman undertakes through this surgery
Yeah.
and the guilt that comes in,
Yeah. Thank you.
because
Talk about that, because that's intense.
it is. And I remember my naturopath at the time, and I respect her so greatly. She taught me so many things. She was my first great spiritual teacher. But I remember her saying to me, she goes, your guilt comes from society. It's projected upon you. It's your body, it's your choice, and all of that. And to a degree, she's correct, but it's not the full story. And as a woman, one of our greatest gifts is being able to birth children into this world. It's to birth another human into this world.
Yeah.
Our body is literally designed for that. Now, that doesn't mean if you decide not to have children that you're any less of a woman, but it's a beautiful gift of our technology. And there is a connection to your own body as a woman that when you start to go against it, when you make a decision to take a life out of your own body, there's something that really affects your own sense of humanity and what it means to be a mother, because your first instinct as a mother is to protect your children, right? And what does that do? It takes their life away from them, because I firmly believe that life happens as soon as the spark of consciousness is embedded within the sperm meeting the egg. That's what I believe.
Mm.
And I've seen it in my meditations, and it's what I've been told through my own communications with little souls. And so I, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong answer to this, right? There is no right or wrong answer, but that is part of the journey of realizing, that didn't feel good to me, even though maybe I was my choice and it is my body, but it
Yeah.
still doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And there's something about that feels like I've scarred that area because I've gone
Mm.
in and I've disrupted something in there that didn't naturally occur. And
Yeah.
so I had to later on deal with the guilt and the
Yeah.
shame and the blame of
Yeah.
that to heal that area, because in my 30s, I started to realize, I know I want to be a mom. And
Got it.
that happened the more I started to heal my own feminine energy. And then the more I started to do my own inner child work, I was like, oh my gosh, I really, really want an opportunity to be a mom.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I just feel like it's so nuanced. And I don't want anyone to feel like whatever position they hold on it is right or wrong. I just think that there's so many layers that we're not talking about that are so important to the healing
Mm.
journey.
Thank you. Um, as a woman, I remember the first time a male teacher, would hold my ass as he was looking over my papers and telling my mom about it, and other moms saying my daughters are complaining as well, and going to school and standing up and speaking up. It can be that kind of situation. It can be the first time you have sex, or even just kiss a boy at a party and you don't really want to, but you haven't found your voice yet. It could be as intense as choosing to abort a pregnancy. There's so many experiences that create shame as a woman, for us to, you said, heal our relationship with the feminine. How did you, was it a sense of self-forgiveness? Was it talking to the spirit? Thank you for this lesson. It helped me grow and learn self-forgiveness. It helped me empower my choices in the future. Like what was the piece that actually allowed you to integrate it? Or was it
Well,
just feeling a really sobbing cry all the way to integration?
in that particular instance, when it came to the actual abortion, I knew that soul never intended to be born. In
Got it.
fact, she came in to open up the passage so that I would want to have children later
Got
on.
it.
So she was opening that up for me. And so there were a lot of lessons there. Now, I
Yeah.
do want to say, for anyone out there who has experienced any kind of trauma sexually in this area, I firmly believe that you actually hold a very high potential for tapping into the sexual power, and are potentially here to help others tap into that. We
Mm.
don't go through these traumas if we don't already have the capacity to heal and
Mm.
understand and reclaim that power. And so
Yeah.
anyone who has gone through that, just know that you have what it takes to move through that kind of experience and come out even stronger on the other side and be a teacher and a way
Totally.
shower for others. I
100%.
firmly believe that.
Total
Now,
shivers. Total
mhm,
shivers. Hairs on end. I see it like a springboard, like a going into a pool. Like
mhm,
the darker the trauma,
mhm,
doing the work, the higher you can soar and support others.
yeah.
I so believe that.
Mhm.
Are you a mom now?
No,
Okay.
I've been shown that I'm gonna be one very, very soon.
Stop. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
like,
I'm fingers crossed. I don't know. None of us really truly know, but I was shown in a journey.
yeah.
Well, I keep seeing my children and they keep coming to me and showing themselves to me. In fact, I was shown a sacred sexual ancient technique that was used in Egyptian temples, fertility temples, for mothers who wanted to conceive. And I was started to do this, and I was
Okay.
shown how to do this. And so that's actually something I'm going to be teaching and this is the whole thing, our dreams and our body and this idea. Like, I know that I can already see it within a year or two down the road, I'm going to be holding fertility ceremonies for women who want to get pregnant. But I first have to go through this ceremony
Sure.
on my own. This is how I've done my whole
Yeah.
teachings. It's all
Same
from
thing.
everything I've been through.
Yeah.
Right. So, so I have not become a mom yet, but I just held an event a week and a half ago, 10 days ago from us recording this. And one of my students, who's a psychic medium, she reached out to me and it was about awakening the mystic within you. And she said, she goes, I don't usually do this. She goes, and I apologize if I'm overstepping. She goes, but the entire time you were speaking to us throughout the 2.5, 3 hours that this event was, she goes, you have a little girl soul in your field. And she was standing to your left and staring at me the whole time.
Wow.
And I was told also by my intuitive healer that I use for my own healing journey. She's seen a girl too, in my field. And I see a boy and a girl. I don't know if they're coming together. I don't know if they're coming separate, but they keep showing themselves to me, and they keep telling me to get ready. I'm going to be a mom soon. And every time I go into my journeys, they're always working on my womb to increase the fertility and to prep it for motherhood. So it's really wild. But, also when it comes to sexual abuse, my inner child helped me heal from the sexual abuse of when I was 5 or 6, which was done by my mom's uncle who lived overseas. So we never really saw him, but there happened to be 3 family weddings that summer. And so he was over in Canada, and I know where it happened. But I didn't know that it was him. I knew something was up. And through that, I learned to, one, honor the feelings of my anger towards him for stealing my innocence, because it was never, from that point on, I would never get it back. That it was that I was really angry at him for taking that on, or taking that away from me. And then, so and actually the healing happened really quickly. I would say a large majority of it happened really quickly. Within 4 months of me, not even 4 months, 3.5 months of me finding out that I had been sexually abused, I had gone through the full healing of it, where one, I first started just allowing the emotions to come up, whatever they were: shame, guilt, anger, disgust, whatever it might be. And I just sat with the feelings, and I just cried, and I let them move through me. I didn't try to understand where they were coming from. I didn't try to analyze it. Let me just be in the feelings of it. And then through that, so this is a funny story. My grandfather, before he passed away about almost 20 years ago, he wrote a book for all of us, a document that was telling the life story of him and my Nana. And it spoke, so there was a first part about her and her childhood, this was her younger brother who did this to me. And they grew up in Burma, Myanmar. Okay. So she was birthed there. They were all there, but they had to escape when the Japanese were invading. And so for 6 weeks, I hadn't read that document since the mid 2000s. Okay. And it was on my computer. I always kept transferring it. And it was in an old computer in my, one of my closets. And every time I'd walk by that, I was told, I could hear the voice. You should read that. You should read that. And of course I just let weeks go by, and finally I said, damn it, Nicole, just read that document. And so I opened it up and I started reading it. And I understood that what they went through as children and what they had to face. So on this trek through the Himalayas, through swamp grounds, through the mountains, of having to escape the Japanese invading, they had to cross and trek, which should have only taken them 3 weeks, but ended up taking them 7 months because they started it in monsoon season hit.
Whoa.
And so there were rivers and flooding and all the land that was impassable that they were stuck on.
Wow.
They had tribal natives like in the land that were coming in to rape the women and the kids. And both their parents died on the trek, and they lost both their parents to
Oh my
dysentery.
God.
And so now you have these kids who are 3, 12, 16, and 18, traveling through, and what they're facing and seeing in such a short period of time. Now, he was 12 at the time. And when they finally got into India, him and his youngest brother, who was 3, were put in boarding school. And I was just crying because I was starting to understand, what he went through and the trauma he went through. And I saw instantly in my mind that he was abused by one of the teachers in the boarding school sexually. And I knew in that moment, had that not happened to him and have all this trauma, he would have not done it to me. Now, that's not excusing him. I'm just understanding from the human perspective of one soul to another. And I instantly knew in that moment when I read that document, I need to go into meditation. I need to just sit here and just with the intention of finding forgiveness. And I just sat there, not forcing it. I was just like, I'm just going to hold space for maybe that to come through in some way. And I sat there and I just cried, and I cried for him, and I cried for me, and I cried for our whole family. And it just, for 2 hours, I cried so heavily into a blanket. It was soaking wet. Like it had almost been in a bathtub. And within the 2 hours, all of a sudden I heard myself saying out loud, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. And I meant it. I meant it so much in my heart. And in that moment, I heard the chains break through our ancestry. I heard them break across the DNA chain.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and he was set free. Not for it was like, when we come in as souls and we come in here, a lot of us come in here to clear our ancestry line. We don't realize that we have that power, that if we can
Yes.
stop the patterns, right?
Yes.
And so not only did I set myself free, but I set him free I could feel his own shame and guilt for what he did to me.
Yeah.
And so I set him free of that.
Nicole, this is really powerful. Wait, what is that saying? Hurt people, right? And healed people.
Healed people, heal people.
Heal people. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a really beautiful distinction. I often do this little thing with my hands, and this would be like all of reality. We can hold that we cannot keep the blame going, right? And we cannot condone the behavior. So we're not saying that what he did in any way, shape, or form is acceptable to a child. And we can do the work to break those ancestral patterns and heal 7 generations in both directions, if you ask me. And then you can hold all of that. And I often see like a heart. One side of the heart might be through appreciation and gratitude and bliss and joy. And the other side of the heart, which is open, is compassion, empathy, forgiveness, mercy, right? And so we literally can keep our heart open in the face of anything. And this practice allows us to have joy, but not to close our heart to the pain within ourselves or others. So thank you for doing this deep work for you and your ancestors. And then, like me, I'll go through something, and then a few months later, there will be another course or another offering. Yeah. So we're very similar that way as well.
Yeah. And
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that part of this healing journey and this lesson is to embrace the contrast of the dark and the light in our world.
Thank you.
And through this journey, I've been able to embrace the darkness of this particular trauma event in my life, because I've pulled that girl in, and I've comforted her, and we've done a lot of healing. But we also have spoken about how this was an important part of our journey, because now we can help others heal this part of their journey and show them the way that there is a path out of this.
Yes. And
for that, we become a torchbearer in this particular area of the human experience. And for that, we are so grateful and to have risen above it. Now, does that in any way diminish the trauma and the pain of the experience? No, absolutely not.
No.
It's one of the most painful experiences to go through, but this is part of the highlight of the human experience and overcoming these challenges, because our power is held in our sexual energy. And when we can master that and both face the dark and the light in that,
Yep.
you are ready and unstoppable for almost anything.
This is so good, Nicole, because there's no offense, but there's just a lot of like, oh, everything's love and light and it's like spiritual bypass. And I'm like, no, you got to fucking speak up, stand up for yourself. Like my last relationship, we'll learn more when I'm on your podcast, but I stood up in court until he pleaded guilty for domestic violence, criminal assault. And I wasn't going to just let it pass over, no matter how cruel they were. And thank you, because you showed me, if I was to attract that, what unhealed wound was in me, that it was a blind spot until this occurred. So I can do my work too. So forgiving him, forgiving myself, and speaking up for myself, and having the laws support women or men who have had assault. So I think it's important that we give people, so much of healing shame for me is speaking up, whether it's in a healing circle, whether it needs to be legal, writing a letter if the person is passed, but really embodying not okay, and thank you, because here's what I've learned, here's how I've grown, here's how I've forgiven, and to be able to hold both. I love that you are into balancing the dark and the light. I even love what is it called? The forbidden journey is what you call your thing.
Yeah.
It's not the glitter glow journey. So, because it's important, I think, that we don't shy away from the beauty in the darkness when we keep our heart open. Yes, when we close our heart, yes, the darkness can be evil and cruel, but when we keep it open, there's such power in transforming our shadows.
Oh yeah.
Embodying our shadows. I love this. So tell us more, as our topic, intimacy, sacred sex, erotic embodiment, and this womb activation, in terms of facing some darkness to integrate it into our sacred sexual superpower.
So, okay. Where do we start?
Notice she's taking her jackets off, people. She's getting hot.
I know, I'm getting warm, but like that happens when I start talking about this stuff, because there's so much energy that starts running through my body. I get a lot of high energy. I start tuning into higher energy. So, and just side note for anyone out there, usually when you start speaking or you start getting messages of fidelity, the truth, you will get very hot. Okay. Like heat is usually like when you have very high frequency energy moving through you. So,
or you're in menopause like me. That's the other reason you have a hot flash too. Just saying.
So, oh, man, so last year around this time, just around December of last year, I was doing a mushroom journey and I do them I do one with myself about once a month or so. And, and I just be in my bedroom, I go in and I just I usually have some kind of intention. And this one, I don't even remember what my intention was with it, but what happened was I was shown in my journey to start taking my consciousness from my third eye and start dropping it through my heart.
Yep.
Which again is aligning mind-heart coherence, and then drop it into my womb.
Yeah.
And bring my consciousness to settle within my own womb space.
Yeah.
Which
100%.
again, I want to let people know, this is where the philosopher's stone lies. And this is like the highly coveted of all the philosophers in the past, the alchemists. This was the thing that turned base chemicals into gold. So, I drop into my womb space and I keep hearing like, just let go. And I was like, okay. And I saw a mini me. okay, a mini version of me
Uh-huh.
settling into the eternal waters of the womb space and being held within those eternal waters. And I was just floating and I was letting go. And then all of a sudden I saw all of this lit up light language symbols start floating down, almost like rain, dropping on the water, dropping on me, and infusing all of the waters of my womb space with all this high frequency light language energy. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it just was so beautiful. And I just kept hearing surrender, surrender, you're held, you're held. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult for someone like me. And I think maybe for someone like you too, who's so used to like taking care of stuff and, like being in their masculine. It's like, no, I'm going to allow myself to be
Yeah.
supported. And I
Yeah.
allowed myself to be held. And as I did, my whole womb space turned into like a planetarium where, you see like the dome and you see all the stars. And so
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden a portal opens up into the universe
Beautiful.
and I am being drawn out into the universe. And they're saying you have unlocked the access to every secret, every mystery that is held in this universe that you would like to know. And I was like, oh my God, these are like the womb space is the portal to everything. And when I saw the light codes, it was like, these are goddess codes that were coming down. So it was like goddess frequency and all that was infusing my whole womb space. And so as I like enter out into the universe, I see this floating ancient broken down temple, okay, that has like one wall around it. It's kind of rounded. And I see this 14-foot feline woman being standing there. And
Sekhmet. No.
I didn't know. Her name was Niet. So
Okay.
N-E apostrophe E-T.
Okay.
And so she had ears, but they had two lines going through the top of her ears. And then her eyes were pure white.
Mm.
And she was gorgeous, so stunning, like just pure goddess energy radiating out of this being. And she was standing there and I stood on this platform with her and I'm looking at her and she starts communicating with me telepathically. And as she does, the whites of her eyes start to hold visions in them and they start to like a movie, like almost like film. And these visions start coming over and she's just like communicating all this information. And she's telling me, she's downloading me with all this information that I eventually turned into my womb of activation course. And it's just like the goddess codes and the keys and everything are here. And there's a power that you can unlock through these when you clear out this womb space and you activate it. And so I like came out of this journey completely like high, like I was,
Yeah.
and not only that, I had a massive Kundalini activation from this. So all of a sudden my body's just like rhythmically moving. My arms are in the air. I'm dancing in the bed and I'm just like, all this pleasure is just moving through me. And just, it's like, it is like a sexual pleasure and it isn't like a sexual pleasure, not in the way that we know it in human
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I was in love with life. I was in
Yes.
love with the air. I was like, everything was just
Mhm.
gorgeous,
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I need to go get some snacks. And so one of the things that I was totally into at the time was I love truffle butter. And I like loved having it just on crackers. Like that was my thing. And so I was like, oh, and I was just eating truffle butter. And I was like, oh my God, this tastes so good. How come I've never known it to taste this good? And I
Yes.
was just like it was like the food was making love with my taste buds. And I'm like, oh, why don't I ever live like this on a day-to-day basis? Like, why am I not holding this energy constantly? And so awakening all of this really
Yeah.
showed me the power.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you hold this kind of pleasure principle, okay,
Yeah.
within your entire being and you apply it to everything, you can create anything you want and you can draw it into you so quickly. And so I started seeing how to weave through different dimensions and pull things together. I learned how to use your scent and how to drop your scent in other dimensions of reality that of different timelines and other people's spaces to pull what you want towards you. It was just wild. So I came out of that, I ended up creating the Womb of Activation course because I'm like, people need to know this. And so Niet came to me later on in a meditation, just a simple meditation. I channeled a message from her to help clear the
Mm.
sacral area of all the shame, the guilt, the blame, like all of that, the denial, because
Mm.
denial's a big one, are we just like, no, I can't have that. No, I'm not allowed. And
Sure.
what
Yep.
is the big principle of the sacral chakra, which is the home of the inner child, by the way, is I am allowed. I
Mm.
have permission. And so
Yes.
we deny so much of our own abundance because
Mm.
of the trauma that we hold there.
Yeah.
And so I created this, I took people through my own journey through this entire
I was
course
like,
and
do we
helped.
need to all be on mushrooms when we do this program? I'm like,
No, 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 you don't. And in fact, it was wild because I even had men in the course when I held it live, and they had incredible activations. One of them, this was so cool. One of them was shown all of their past lives as women, came to him as all of the past lives as a woman, and
wow.
he healed and cleared their sacral sexual energy through the session. And
That's
so
amazing.
that was like wild because we've all been men and women in our lives,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This is gorgeous. Again, I'm finding all these like overlapping weaving of what you're experiencing, and I'm really excited to have our next conversation on your podcast. But I think I hope all of the viewers and listeners can feel when our heart is open, when it's coherent, how it turns on a different brain, a divine mind, and it allows us to drop into our hips, our womb, our sacred yoni. And even, I just love even saying it, my voice drops. Like there's a different way of interacting with life and the access to this information that you're speaking of. And one of my Allana Pratt method processes is called, making love with the universe. So
Oh, I
I
love that.
so love this capacity that we have. And we'll talk more later. I used to be a professional dancer, and then years when I lived in LA, S Factor, and just, letting go of thought, letting the hips circle and move and literally move you and awaken your knowing rather than what you think you should do strategically. It's a deeper sense of confidence from the inside out. We don't need circumstances to be a certain way when there's this richness and connection on the inside. So I so love this. So viewers and listeners, there will be a link to this program, as well as more things from Nicole. Where can we complete this, hopefully first of many, many conversations together around, maybe we could go to the erotic embodiment. How do you define eroticism and embodiment, and what is it like for you? I don't know your relationship situation right now, if you're single or in a relationship. Even the way sisterhood to me dissolves competition when we're truly embodied in our heart space, we see the best in one another. So tell us a little bit about erotic embodiment in your life.
It is, well, one, it's the reclamation of your God-given power.
Yeah.
The pleasure principle, which is the crux of eroticism to me, is the driving force of all of creation.
Mm.
And when you deny that in your life, you deny your ability to be in communion with the creative energies of this universe.
Yeah.
And so eroticism and erotic embodiment is so important because your body, there's a reason why you have a physical body and you're not some etheric being, like
Yes.
doing the work here.
Yes.
Your technology is embedded in your body, and the embodiment is the final ingredient. It is the active ingredient when it comes to manifestation and creation in this world. And so I love that you said that you dance, because dance is one of the most powerful ways to actually create erotic embodiment, I personally feel. And once you start to get really comfortable in your own body, then now you can like allow the energy to move through you, and then you can start being communion with these energies of creation, which is the harmonization of the masculine and feminine energies, right? The mind and the heart in coherence together. The mind is the masculine, the heart is the feminine. And then you look at the principles of just what is your relationship with your own divine masculine? What is your own relationship with your own divine feminine? When you bring those two together and you bring those into union, and then you pull that energy through your body and you allow to live your life from the joy of your beingness, that to me is erotic embodiment.
It's like you just get to like make love to life every day. Like I said a minute ago, it's so good. And you never feel alone, because, you know, life is in, as, and through you all the time. You're never seeking, you're dancing, you're partnering, but you don't need to come from empty, go get, take, bring back, manipulate, right? It's just so full on the inside. I love this. And don't you think it makes you really sexy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because you just know, like there's a confidence within you because you're so tapped into a power that nothing else can trump it. You know, it is the trumping power of everything. And so when you hold that, nothing else matters. Nothing else will phase you. When you're truly aligned with it. Now, of course, we're all human. We're going to go through like phases of learning how to embodying it more and more and more. But as we practice, because practice is physically embodying it over and over and over until it becomes part of you. And it's now just like walking out your door to your car, or like, you know, eating your food, like drinking, it all just becomes second nature. And so it's really something that needs to be practiced over and over, because we've been programmed so much to be disconnected from it. We have to reprogram ourselves to be connected to it. And that takes dedication. It takes perseverance. It takes a willingness, and it takes compassion for yourself to move through some of the blocks that you're undoubtedly going to face as you learn to reclaim this inherent power.
I love this, Nicole. And every time we ascend to another level, for me anyways, I bump into a whole other plethora of shame or fears or whatever. I'm like, I thought I handled that one. Well, I did at that level of ascension, but here we are again. And these tools can bring us back to center so much more easily. And what you just said is so beautiful, as well as with compassion. There we are. We did it again. Don't judge ourselves. Have gentleness, have compassion, use the tools to come back. Dance every day.
Have
even
fun
if
practicing, like
pissed off, dance anyways.
Yeah.
If you're scared, dance anyways, right? And then let's maybe complete on this as well. I had overvalued my mind, overvalued the strength of an open heart, and even the sacred sexuality. I just loved how it healed me and made me feel beautiful, and dropped competition with other women. It was so freeing for me, this 1, 2, this sort of 3 alignment. But in my latest psychedelic somatic integration work, the way the practitioners told me to, or guided me, facilitated me, was to trust body. And I had no idea. I could easily go out to tier 3, have great communication with beings, etc. But what I hadn't done, Nicole, was allowed the body to take me home, the body to know what it's doing from level 4 trauma, that I was very good at being hypervigilant and disassociating and a go-getter and overacting and all of that. But when it came to total surrender, like you're saying, surrender in the womb, right? Surrender to the body, showing me the abuse, pushing them away, showing me the fetal position of how scared I was, showing me the anger. Like, it wasn't just a cognitive analysis of what happened. Like, the body showed me. And then by the end, and it came back to like still point or 0 point, my hands would go into these mudras. I wasn't doing it. It was exquisite to allow the energy to show me what happened, all the way to the embodiment of divinity in, as, through me. So I've become very humbled to, it's not, you know, it's equally valuable, body, mind, spirit. And I didn't honor the body as much for its wisdom. Yes, eat well, exercise, the rest of it, but actually surrender totally to the body's wisdom. I hadn't had the courage to do that yet. So what are your thoughts on this, love?
Oh, I'm so in alignment with you. So I wrote a book, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. And it was just like an eat, pray, love, kind of like my journey of self-love. It was called Inflexible Me. And I dedicated the book to my body.
Nice.
Who was my greatest teacher to this day.
Hello. Oh, more shivers. Yeah. Jesus Christ, woman. Look at this.
Yeah,
okay,
no.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I can't stress this enough, because I talk about this a lot. And I literally, just with some clients yesterday who are reaching out to me, were mentioning, like, the body can get really diminished in the conversation.
Yeah.
When we're talking about spiritual enlightenment, when we're talking about the healing process, it gets really diminished because we're like, why do I have to be in this body? Why can't I just
everybody wants to leave?
Yeah. And I'm like, don't leave.
You want to be here.
That's the problem. And that's why nothing's working out for you, because you're not in your body. Now, what happens with people, and this is something I address in my inner child course, is that one of the first things I address, because you have to heal. This is why I heal the root chakra and then the sacral chakra in the inner child course, is because, one, those of us who are very intuitive will tend to leave our bodies when we're younger, when any kind of trauma happens, because it hurts too much. Sure. We feel everything so much more. And so what happens is you tend to leave your body and not trust your body to be a safe container for you.
Totally.
And until you heal the root chakra, okay, you cannot bring, which is all about safety and security, right? And you cannot bring yourself back into, you have to bring yourself back into your body. Ultimately, it doesn't matter how high of an energy you're working with. If you can't channel it through the chakra channel system, through the root chakra into the earth, where it manifests here and takes root, then all that energy is wasted.
I'm so glad we're talking about this. This needs to be part 2. This is so friggin' important. Keep going. Sorry. Just yes. Mm-hmm.
So physical embodiment is the final power piece in everything. You have to be willing to be in your body. And I had even one of my clients who was at my retreat just last month, and she said, Nicole, watching you, well, they were all on their journey, right? They did like their own mushroom journey. I facilitated, and I wasn't, but I was like able to tap into the medicine frequency with them. And I started like channeling all these light codes, like light language was coming through me. My hands were doing all these different symbols and movements and everything. And she was telling me how it was just so wild to watch you embody the energy. And that's what it's all about, is like, can you embody it? Can you move it through your whole being and then transfer it out into the reality around you, into the field around you where others can feel it? It's not just about like being still and sending the energy out from your heart. Can you move it through every cell in your body and transfer it through your fingertips, transfer it through your toes, channel it through every hair follicle that like radiates off of you, and show people what it looks like to embody spirit in motion.
Yep. 100%. I adore you. This is so fun. This is so fun. Yeah, because you'll learn more when I'm on your podcast, but I thought I had an intuition. I can easily leave and hear, non-local intelligence, but all I really had was my heart. 5,000 times bigger field than the brain. So it was doing quite a good job. I had no idea until I started this work, and I'm 53. So I've been doing this work for 20 years, but still no clue that my vagina, labia, and glute muscles were totally numb from all of this level 4 trauma. I was in my body down to about my solar plexus, but I wasn't literally embodied all the way here. And as I did this work, and as I brought my autonomic nervous system back to zero over and over and over, and realized why, and all of the emotional integration and the physical integration, first it was numb, then it was pain. When the energy came back in, there was a lot of pain, but at least I could feel. I could feel all the way from my heel all the way up to my glute. I'm like, oh, I can be here. Oh my God. And I'd never had a vaginal orgasm ever, only clitoral, because I wasn't inside my body.
Okay.
So I had
Yes,
my very
yes.
first vaginal orgasm at 53. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh.
I know. I'm just getting started. Like, look out, people. So
Don't stop.
no, don't you worry. Don't you worry. And since doing this work, I have met the love of my life at 53.
Oh.
Yeah. So I want people who are listening to this. Yes, we were talking about a lot of delicious things, and we're talking about a lot of difficult things that people go through. Please never give up. Never give up on honoring your body, your sacred sexuality, your femininity, even if you're a gentleman, your feminine, receptive, surrendered energy as well. Never give up on love. Even if it gets scary, there's practitioners like Nicole and myself to support you, retreats when you're with other like-minded, like-hearted people. Really be willing to do this work, because the work works. Healed people heal people. And we can bless and release everyone else that have gotten us here on this journey. So I'm really grateful for this conversation. I'm really grateful that we're Canadian. I'm really grateful that we started off being backpackers. I'm really grateful that we're
Yeah.
both into embodiment and sacred sexuality. I'm really grateful for this womb activation, that course, and all of her site, NicoleFrolick.com. All of this will be in the show notes. I'm kind of thinking, what would be the best way to complete?
Let me tell.
Yeah.
Let me just
How would you
finish
like to
off.
end, my love?
Yeah, let me finish on this note.
Yeah.
So that everyone really understands embodiment. When you are embodying the heart and mind coherence that you hold in your system,
Yeah.
you are moving your body, you are taking action. Okay. And a lot of people stop themselves right before that point. So they'll align their heart, they'll align their mind together, they'll be in union, but they don't know, well, what's my next step?
Yeah.
What do I do next? Right?
Down.
And it's like, you have to just move, do something, take some kind of action, because the map of your destiny, okay, what it is that you're here to do, is not going to be fully revealed to you until you start taking action. You may have a map, an idea of what that looks like based off of your heart-mind coherence. And part of that might be true, but I promise you that as that map develops and evolves through your actions, you are going to start to see detours. You're going to start to see like new pathways open up, because you are a different person by taking the action. You become a different person through the embodiment and the action, which means you now have access. Because you're a completely different person, you have access to new information that you would have never had you not taken those actions. And so remember, even if you don't have the clarity right now, don't wait for the clarity. Let the clarity come through your actions, because that map will start to evolve and emerge on the page, okay, for you to follow, and you will see what's next. And what you see that's next, I promise you, is going to be so much bigger and better than what your heart-mind coherence is already telling you.
Oh, I just want to jump through this and just give you a hug right now. The way I see it, love, is that it's like the center of a spider web. One action, and that's why it's so important to be in the hips, to take that action and let it move you in as and through you. You take that one step, the whole spider web just goes and everything changes. Like you said, we become somebody new. And everything is different. So this idea that we need to have the outcome all figured out before we even start moving, throw that away, because that's not how it works.
You are the outcome.
Yeah. I love this. I love this. The journey is the destination and you are the outcome.
Yes.
Well, what a friggin' delight. People, please, NicoleFrolick.com, see in the show notes. Check out this womb activation as well as many other programs that she has. And thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being on the podcast today. And as I say at the end of many of these podcasts, something made you have a mic drop moment. Something made you tear up. Something enlivened you that you just want to take action. Please, when you finish this podcast, take a moment to put your feet on the earth and listen. What is the one action I can take from having spent time with Nicole and Allana today? And take it. Just like a ship, if you just change that degree, one little degree, that's your whole life trajectory just changed. And so if you do that on a regular basis, my God, an entirely new universe unfolds. So I appreciate you for spending time with us today, Nicole. I appreciate all of you viewers and listeners for being with these delicious Canadian sisters who just met again this life, I imagine.
And I can't wait to have you on my show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just open your heart, everyone, and just let us love the shit out of you. Just receive our love, a big snuggle. And until next time on Intimate Conversations, all my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. I'm back at the cottage that I rented. I'm here for a third PSI weekend with a client. I'm drinking turmeric, etc., tea from another PSI client who I did a weekend here with her. There's candles. My client's just resting. I just picked her up at the airport today. We hit lunch and then Trader Joe's on the way, and so much magic has occurred in this cabin. And this was where I spent the last weekend with Scott before moving to Charleston with him. This is where the night before we came to move in with him in Charleston, Muffin got so sick and almost left, but she doesn't have 9 lives, she has 10 lives. And I'm thinking back to even just last night before I came here to pick up my client. I got to meet one of Scott's dear friends who he had climbed the Alps with. And she was just about to go on her way to Peru for an ayahuasca journey for, I think, 7 to 10 days. And it's just amazing how the world is beautifully shifting, and we're seeing the blessing of these incredible plant teachers, these plant medicines. They've supported me. They've supported my clients. They've supported Scott's friend who she's going to Peru. And what I love so much about many things about these plant medicines is that they invite us to trust our body, surrender to the wisdom of our body, honor our body. And as you just finished watching this incredible podcast with Nicole and I, and her evolution and her journey, how her use of plant medicine allowed her to have incredible insights and downloads into a way that she could teach this ancient wisdom in a way that's unique to her, that for her the psilocybin journey revealed to her. And so obviously it's not for everyone. And if you feel drawn to utilize these plant medicines, in my opinion, not to check out, but to check in. Like any substance, we can use alcohol to check out, or to check in and savor a beautiful meal with people we love. You can use drugs to check out, or plant medicine to check in and allow this wisdom from the cosmos and our bodies, weaving with these beautiful medicines when we use intention, to help us heal, to help us reveal the blocks. And none of it is a one and done. We still have to do the work. We still have to integrate. We still have to have those conversations. We still need to take those actions. We still need to embody the wisdom of these journeys into our real lives. They're not a quick fix. They're certainly not a one and done. My God, they're beautiful partners. Beautiful partners. So I love the way I get to work with people where we do PSI VIP weekends, but we also do weekly coaching calls. We also do private calls. We also do retreats. Like, we have each other's back. We're a community. We are there for each other. We are brave and bold and speak truth to one another. So it was really wonderful to be able to speak with Nicole, who loves the retreats that she does, loves the programs that she creates, loves the plant medicine journeys that she does or facilitates. It's so great to meet someone who I so instantly connected with, a fellow Canadian sister. Please check out her world. Certainly go to her site and follow her on Instagram if you haven't already. Check out that womb activation course that we spoke of. And really the beauty, and this is a female client who's here this weekend, the beauty of our sacred sexuality, power and creativity and connection to our wisdom, to our soul, in our hips, in our yoni, in our sacred sexuality. I believe this is also an invitation for an awakening on the planet of the richness and sacredness of our sacred sexual energy. So any way that I can support you on your journey of getting out of the head, healing the heart, dropping into the hips, and healing any trauma so that you can be present. You can feel like you're making love to life. This is your birthright, and it is my honor to walk with you. So just a little bit of porch time, then some dinner, and then we will go into our 2-day VIP this weekend. I'm so blessed. Thank you, Nicole, again for being on the podcast. Thank you all for being with us. I love you with all my heart.